A couple of days ago, I made a video about how some plushie skins in Tower Defense Simulator, they're no longer all maintainable because of the fact that the developers, they don't hand out plushie code skins anymore with the plushies that you can buy from the Paradoxum Games store. Now, I speculated that because it's been a while since the developers have updated it on us, that the developers have just forgotten about the plushie skins and these skins are going to be rare. However, that's not actually going to be the case because well, actually a day ago, the developers have uploaded some developer products, as you can see here. So you got the Plushie Accelerator Plush Trap skin, you got the Patient Zero Accelerator skin, you got the Plushie Commander skin, Plushie Pyromancer skin, Umbria Commander skin, Plushie Cowboy skin, Plush Scout skin, Plush Minigunner skin, Plush Engineer skin, and the Mecha Ducky Cowboy skin. Now, the thing that has all of these skins in common is that all of these skins are from codes. This includes like the non-plushie skins like Patient Zero Accelerator skins. They came from codes that you got from buying a plushie skin or a plushie product on the Paradoxum Games store, which you can no longer get. So it's been stated that with these coming back, that maybe perhaps you can use a developer product to somehow buy like a plushie accelerator skin, for example. But that's not the case. You're not going to be able to spend Robux to get these skins. And if you were to go investigating, which I can't do because I don't have the extension which allows me to see these descriptions or see these developer products from the links in Roblox, but you can see that they're really simplistically named. So you got Patient Zero for the Accelerator Tower, then you got Plush Skin for the Trapper Tower. Not much effort was put into it. And by the way, this is Polish, so thank you, Mentin. I assume this means 17 hours ago from when he made his screenshots. But interestingly enough, we do get unique images from these that aren't actually used elsewhere in the game. I do believe all of these images that's shown off here, they are all pretty unique, apart from maybe the Plushie Accelerator skin, which isn't seen elsewhere. Although with that being said, actually they might be used elsewhere because this is a really weird angle to use for the Plushie Minigunner skin, and the Plushie Engineer skin, actually that kind of looks like it was used for like a promotional image. So probably the case where actually they were used elsewhere and they're just uploading the first item or the first icon that appeared in like their folder for this. Now the thing is, it does not include every single skin that have been plushified. So for example, the prominent missing skin, or not really prominent, but a missing skin that I've noticed and Menton's noticed is the Golden Minigunner plushie skin. It's not here. The regular Minigunner skin is there, but the Golden Plushie Minigunner skin is not there. This also includes some other things, so for example the Boss Charms, so that's the Molten Boss Charm, which the Molten Boss isn't in the game anymore, apart from in Sandbox mode. Nuclear Monster Charm, Fallen King, which has been redesigned since this. Like all of these plushies, or plush charms, they would have been gotten through a code, but yet they're not being sold, or what planned to be sold, as a developer product. Now, apparently, Below Natural has replied to someone about this, or tweeted it, but for some reason, I can't find it, so we're just going to have to use Mentin's note for this. So, here, Below Natural says that Roblox requires us to upload any DLC that comes with merch as developer products. This just means that we're preparing to re-add skins to plushies using Roblox's new commercial service, which means that they're probably going to stay away from Juniper Creates, I don't know actually, since they are the supplier, but they're going to have the store, I guess, on Roblox's site rather than their own Paradoxum Games site, which you can buy merch from. However, with that being said, the developers may still want to keep this up in case people want to buy it directly from Juniper Creates, and they might mark up the thing on Roblox by like a certain percentage to get like they recoup the cost of using Roblox's services as opposed to their own service, which I assume they'll pay much less of a premium. However, not all of the products that was previously gotten could actually be seen as a developer product. So, for example, the DJ Booth plushie skin, that is not being sold, or it's not a developer product that you can buy, which means that, at least for now, the DJ Booth plush is not being able, you can't actually get the DJ Booth plush skin from Roblox's commercial service. Although, that being said, I assume once the developers realise, then they might add it, or it might be a contract they have with Juniper Creates that they can't sell the DJ Booth plush on the Roblox commercial website or something like that. It's something weird. But additionally, this sort of implies that there will be returning developer products in the future. So for example, because there is a Mecha Bunny developer product, it kind of implies that the developers plan in the near future, sometime in the near future, for a resale of the Mecha Bunny plus Nerd Ducky mini plush, which is very interesting because they said that it was a limited edition and is now sold out. This also explains why some items, they're not there. So for example, the golden mini gunner plush, that's not there because I assume the developers do not want to sell that later on down the line. However, the Scout plush is there, the Accelerator plush is there, the Commander plush is there, so is the Minigunner plush. Patient Zero is also there, even though this is stated to be limited time. The others are so said to be sold out, so they may return. But the Umbria mini plush, that is stated to be limited time, so is the Pyromancer plush. But these are items that are developer products, which implies that these could return. I mean, the Umbria mini plush did return because I guess it was popular. For whatever reason. I can speculate why it was so popular. I'm not going to speculate why here though. And then when it comes to the Engineer plush and the Cowboy plush, they do have their respective developer products in the source code already, but the DJ Booth mini plush, not there for some reason. Now again, this does not mean that you'll be able to buy these plushies, the plushie skins, sorry, with Robux. It would be kind of cool to buy these items with Robux and then get the item, the plush item, shipped to your doorstep. But I think it's the case where it's going to be with whatever Roblox services uses for like their supplier stuff. I genuinely don't know. It may be Shopify. I don't really remember. They might use that to sell the products. They'll ship it to your doorstep, and with the developer products, you get the code with that. And I guess because the code is linked with the transaction, if you were to refund the transaction, then the code is rejected or stuff like that. Because apparently, what some people were doing and what the developers didn't actually do, despite the fact that they said they did it, is if you refunded an item, you actually still had the code and still had the skin. Now that is technically fraud, but I don't know if you're going to get prosecuted for that for a simple in-game item. Personally, I wouldn't do that in case I get sued by the developers, although the developers aren't suing anyone as far as I know, so take that with a grain of salt. But I assume refund fraud when it comes to the plushie skins are going to get more tighter when it's linked to the Roblox API. And as stated previously, I think the prices are going to be slightly more inflated to cover the costs of the Roblox platform fee. But since you get the items, the code skin really, in the Roblox API rather than Paradoxum Games themselves, I guess if you want the product itself and not the skin, which I don't think that many people want, but some people are actually buying the plush, then go to Paradoxum Games. But if you want the code as well, buy it on Roblox. Now, whether or not the developers actually did this because I made a video on the plushies, I will never know. But I would like to think that they do watch my videos still. In fact, I do know that they still watch my videos. I've seen videos of them watching videos of my videos in Teslas. So I think it's very likely that they saw my video and was like, right, we're going to need to sort this out with Roblox. We're just going to upload the APIs so that we can just go ahead with it. So yeah, I think my video directly influenced the developers re-adding plushie skins to Tower Defense Simulator. Now, there's also the case for some other items. So, for example, when the max level Commander hoodie was purchased, the developers would give you a code for what I believe was 2 premium crates. It might have been 1 deluxe crate and 1 premium crate, but I think it was 2 premium crates. What this meant is obviously you got 2 premium crates, but you got it as a code. But because the developers, they're not having this as a developer product, does this mean that if you were to buy the max level Commander hoodie on Roblox, you wouldn't be able to get these codes? But I think it's actually more likely where the max level Commander hoodies won't be sold on Roblox because probably there's going to be extra fees for that. Then again though, I'm not sure if Roblox will sue if you sell off-site items to players, but in this case certainly it doesn't look like you're going to get any codes from buying any accessories here. So those are the cowboy pins, but they never really gave out any accessories in the first place, and that's the apparel, so that's the max level Commander hoodie and the Commander hoodie. The Commander hoodie actually, interestingly enough, despite being more expensive than the plushie items, that it never had any codes associated with it. The max level Commander hoodie did have codes associated with it after it was released, but the regular Commander hoodie, which looks worse, I can't lie, than this one, never had codes. Again, I'm pretty sure that the developers probably won't want to sell their accessories and their apparels on the Roblox store website because it's not going to give out any benefits to the players, but I guess for advertisement, the developers might want to do it. I'm not sure how they're going to do that yet, but certainly, for the very least, some plush items are going to be moved over to the Roblox store. In other news, there has been a new poll on the gameplay feedback. It's been recently renamed. So, should Warlock or DPS event towers, which is decidedly quite rare. I think the Warlock and the Swarmer are the only DPS event towers in general, be allowed to be on par with or outperform existing DPS options such as the turret's golden minigunner, accelerator, ranger, etc. But there are lots of caveats to this. So for example, there's yes with only NST options, which I believe is no special towers, which some people have interpreted to be any tower above level 50, but then some other people are saying that the mercenary base doesn't count, but then the mercenary base does count in some people's minds, so that's a whole weird, complicated issue. Then yes, but it feels slightly overtuned currently. No, Warlock is better suited as a sub DPS only, or no, Warlock shouldn't even be a DPS tower. I think that it should probably be slightly on par with it, but like slightly below it, so I don't know, better suited as sub DPS only better than not special tower options. Probably that one would be in my mind, but many people are saying that it should be on par or outperform existing DPS options, which is really weird. Note, this does not mean we have plans to nerf the Warlock, although discussions have been made about its current balancing. As of right now, we only intend to gauge opinions, which means that the developers currently think that the Warlock, right now, is a little bit too OP. Keep in mind that the reason we ask, and often the reason we keep them as off-meta options, is because eventually no one will be able to or maintain the Warlock anymore. If someone joins the game after the point and an event tower is S tier, they're missing out on it and they can't get it until some point in the future where it's on sale for ROBUX again. And even with the plan to re-add the Hexscape event all the way to null and void as of currently right now, probably the Christmas event as well in the future for 2025, those plans do not include re-adding the event towers seemingly for the event itself. So it looks like that it's confirmed, even though events themselves will return, you won't get the event towers for it, and you'll still need to buy it through game passes after the event has ended if you want to get it at all. Many people disagree on that, but that's what the developers have been doing since 2019, so continue they shall until there's a law that prevents it from happening, which I doubt the US government cares too much about what Tower Defense Simulator is doing with their Robux sales. In other news, someone has posted about TDA, that's some new Tower Defense Awakens thing, I don't know what it is, but Below Natural has responded to their tweet saying, "This looks really cool, but could you please not use any TDS/Paradoxum Games assets if you are, because the developers actually take asset thefts quite seriously nowadays. So if you are found to be using Tower Defense Simulator assets for your own projects for Roblox, I'm not so sure about art. I think art is fine, but when it comes to using it for a Roblox project, then that is no bueno. I think you can recreate it. Recreating it is fine, but doing it a rip-off one-for-one is not okay. Although one could argue that perhaps Tower Defense Simulator copied from Tower Battles back in the day, even though they didn't reuse any assets, but they kept around with the same names. But that's a whole mess of a story, which I am not here for. I'm just saying that Below Natural is saying not to use TDS or Paradoxum Games assets, so fair enough. Oh, and I found the original tweet, by the way, which has Below Natural mentioning that that Roblox requires any DLC that comes with merch as developer products. It's this one. I don't know why it's a community post on Tower Defense Simulator. Interestingly, I didn't even know this was even a thing, but fair enough. And interestingly enough, here there is some discussion saying that locking exclusive in-game content behind limited quantity plushies only ever leads to bad things such as scalping. The only problem is, I don't think scalping has ever been an issue when it comes to Tower Defense Simulator plushies, because the plushie themselves, it's always been associated with a code, and many people probably want the plushie as well as the code. Then again though, many people also probably will sell the code as well, but I've never seen or heard of widespread code using for the plushies themselves, plus the person has the plushie and the code. I'm just trying to wrap my head around how can someone sell just the code, because you need the plushie as well, and the code obviously is going to cost less than the plushie plus the code. So what about the plushie? Surely you're making a loss on the plushie itself. So I don't know how it's scalping. If someone can actually inform me how this is scalping, then, you know, feel free to do so in the comments. I also don't think that anyone who bought the plushie since May 2025 will be able to get the plushie skin backdated to their account, although if Below Natural is feeling generous, then maybe it's the case, but it looks like you won't be able to do so if you bought a plushie and you expected a code but didn't get it. That's going to be unfortunate. However, despite the developers having seemingly watched my videos on plushie skins, they still haven't watched my video on the Game Pass is still being available, even though they said they'll be available and only until the 5th of November. but you can still buy it, as you can see here. Although, that being said, it is a weekend, so perhaps the developers haven't made changes yet until Monday. So at the very least, you have maybe 24 hours to get these game passes if you want them, but the developers will probably make it longer depending on whether they can be bothered to take off the game passes or not. I assume it's still making them some money, which is why the developers haven't bothered or haven't been proactively getting these game passes off sale, but it just seems really weird to mention a sell-by date for the game passes and not to take them off sale by that date.